Yeah, so welcome. I know that some of you already heard me say this introduction 7 times, but I I need to do this for those that haven't that are here for the first time. So this event is part of a bigger event called Women Who Futures, organized by Abril Chimal, my colleague, which is here, and myself. And we wanted this to be a safe space, right, for us to exchange ideas and promote and celebrate the work of women working in futures and foresight. And we wanted to bring the most possible diversity among women and how we are using futures and foresight in our work, and also reflect about how our intersectional identities and the fact that we are women inform our practice, and then reflect also about how feminism and gender equality and gender issues are articulated in this space of futures and foresight. So we have many amazing speakers. Today it's just three more. But then next week we also have so many, like a full day. So please look into the program and see what other sessions you're able to join. And by participating in this event, you agree to our code of conduct that I'm going to put in a minute in the chat. But you also, when you signed up for this event, you also had the link. So this is meant to be a safe space. We have a zero tolerance policy on any form of harassment and discrimination. And we are here to respect and welcome different opinions because we are richer when we are listening to each other from where we are. So with that, over to you, Lua Couto, and your amazing ancestral ecological futures. Looking forward to it. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. I am Lua. I'll share my screen first to start. I'm a little bit nervous because this is not my mother language. So it's hard to speak about that in Portuguese. In English, it's always impossible because I think that every language is a code that was made to express a vision of the world, and with English is not different. So it's a language that were shaped to talk about this vision of the world that is different from the one that I am inviting to this space today. Well, let me see. Okay. I am Lua, like I said. I founded a collective here in Brazil that's called Futuro Possível. In English, is Possible Future. We work with education for regeneration. And here we are doing this work since 2019, before the pandemics. And I am very happy to be here today. But before everything, I want to reverence who owns my head. I want to talk to you a little bit about Nana. We were listening one music about other Orisha, that is a divinity of Candomblé, that is a religion, an African Brazilian religion from Yoruba mythology. And Nana, that is this old woman that we are seeing in the screen. Nana is a divinity of African Brazilian religion from Yoruba mythology. She's considered Yaba, that is the name that we use for female orishas. And she's the older one, the wiser, because she's the mother of lots of orishas, like Omolu, Iroko, Osain, Ewa, Shumare. And she's the lady of the mud and the still waters. And most of all, she's the guardian of the portal between the world of the dead and the living ones. And she receives these souls that make this crossing between these worlds and send them to reincarnation. More ahead, you understand why I'm speaking while I am telling you this story about Nana. And she's always, most of the time, represented as this woman with black skin, gray hair, and she's always carrying this stick that we call ibiri. In all ceremonies with for Nana, she's always carrying this. It's part of the performative ritual to call this divinity. Nana is one of the responsibles for the creation of humanity, and she's a very feared Orisha and respected. In Brazil, we salute or we reverence Nana using this word that we call saluba. Saluba Nana is the way we do this reverence to this Orisha. Saluba Nana means with Nana, we will take refuge from death. That's why I decided to bring her presence. In my religion, she owns my head. She's the lady that owns my head, my thoughts, the way I think, the way I move in the world is moved by this force. And this talks a lot about me. That's why I decided to bring her and invite her to be here with us today. And after make this reverence to Nana, I want you to think about who owns your head. This is a very important question. Who owns your head? For who you are working? What vision of the future you have based in this head? In Candomblé, we call Ori. Ori is a divinity too that drives this energy that puts me in action in the world. So this is my first provocation to you. Who owns your head? Well, to talk about ancestral ecological futurism, I have these two keys that is very important for this work, that is memory and imagination. When we talk about imagination, we are always thinking in the future. But I think that imagination is most about the memories that we carry in ourselves than about this process of being the future. I think is a dance between all this is a space-time conversation. Let's talk in this way. And between these two words, memory and imagination, I have this word radical. And radical means go to the roots. So to talk about this, we need to go to the roots of the memory and in the roots of imagination. In the most superficial form, radical imagination is this ability to imagine the world not as they are, but as they could be. And for radical imagination, but magical imagination too, we need a lot of courage. So courage is very needed to do the work that we need to do in this world right now to change the things as they are. Well, and to start and to honor Nana again, I will tell you about a dream that I had last year when I was writing this little book that I called Notebook of Navigation, that is only in Portuguese and that is not in English. But is where I tell a little bit about this dream that I will share with you. Well, this is a dream about a time after the point of no return. I don't know if all of us here are familiarized with this term, the point of no return of the Amazon forest. So I will explain a little bit, but the point of no return is when an ecosystem it's so unbalanced that they cannot regenerate anymore, and is a point where the forest is not able to make its service to the balance of the ecosystem. So this dream was about that, about this time when the forest will become a desert. And my idea is to take you there a little bit. I invite you to research on Google about the point of no return, Amazonia, and to know more later. There's a little trigger here. So if you are a highly sensitive person, I will not show images of anything. The images will come to your mind, but I want to make this, I want to say that before, okay. In my dream, the first thing that appeared to me, and I will make a spoiler here, not a spoiler, but I want to open a box here to say that for indigenous and for African people, the dreams are very important. So that's why I decided to bring this to this work, okay? The first thing that appeared for me in this dream is that in the future, the earth dies, but we don't. And that's the, the worst scenario, because I hear a lot of people saying, oh, okay, everybody will die, everything will disappear, like a comfortable space. Oh, okay, I won't be here, so that's okay. Let's do the things the way we are doing. But in my dream, the first thing that appeared was this scenario where the earth dies, but we don't. In my dream, the earth became sterile, unable to produce and recycle life. And when I told this dream about to a friend, he sent to me this link from New York Post with an article of Ray Kurzweil saying that we will achieve immortality by 2030. And I read, and I think, oh my God. In my dream, with the death of the Earth's body, we disembodied too. And was a time, a scenario very similar to what, connected to what Ray Kurzweil brought in the article. And at this time, our biggest dream was to embody it again. In this memory, the greatest desire that we have is the desire of the body, because without body experience, there is no life as we know. In my dream, the time is different. It is expanded. At the same time, it's very constricted. And this was weird for me to perceive, because some people lived only a few seconds in the body in an eternity as data. So we lived seconds in the body and an eternity in data. And this was needed to, because without the seconds in the body, this data would disappear. So it was like a fight to incorporate in the bodies that were available to it. Some of us have already forgotten what the earth feels like, and we become just thoughts in this time. For me, this story is a memory, not a prediction. Some of us are embodied only to produce energy for the system in my dream. They are new kinds of slaves. Oppression and inequality persists in the dream, and we unlearn how to die. I'm going to stop here. I think that's enough to understand what I'm trying to bring from this dream. When I woke up, the first thing that came to my mind was this quote from Malcolm Ferdinand. Malcolm Ferdinand is a very special author that helps me to think and create this work. He is the writer of a book that is called A decolonial ecology. I don't know if this is the name in English, but in Portuguese is that. And he says that the slaves, they are not the only one enslaved in a system of slavery. So this vision of the life created this idea of slavery as we know it. And this incarcerate all of us, not only the Black people. Malcolm Ferdinand, he brings us this concept of double fracture, that he says that we are living a colonial and an environmental fracture at the same time. He says that there is a refusal of the world on the side of the colonizer, I would speak in English, ou seja, I'm sorry. He says that there is a refusal of the world on the side of the colonizer that refuses to touch this land as this land are, and there is a loss of the world on the side of the colonized. So everybody is losing, but we are losing in different ways. Especially when I talk for people in Global South, vulnerable communities that face a scenario of disenchantment and poverty, most people reject their connection with the future because it's hard to make this work to see what is next when now is very hard. But this is not limited to this community, because when I go to big companies where I do this work of education for regeneration, I see this happen too. Disenchantment is everywhere. So a lot of people are refusing this connection with the future. So I think that this work that we are doing here in this event is very important, because we need to do this connection with the future as we need to do this connection with the past. Because this idea of a future that just exists in our heads is part of the problem. Our bodies is needed in this process. Because let me ask you something, as I told you, my memory, did your present selves feel impacted by this future and by this path? Because this path is present in these ideas of the future that I told you before. When I had this dream, what came to me after that was the denial of the living body, the denial of the touch, the productization of us, the desire for freedom, the uprooting. And we know all of this, all of those things. These are familiar for us. And it's familiar for us because, like Malcolm Ferdinand said, there's a fracture between us and the planet, between our heads and our bodies, between us as humanity. And there will be no construction of different futures if we don't make this reconnection of these parts that are separated. Two separations are between planetary health. One separation is about planetary health and human dignity. If we don't reconnect these two things, we can think a future that is really abundant and make for all and created for all. Because planetary health and human dignity are two sides of the same coin, but you need to want to see it. You need to have eyes to see it. And that's part of the invitation of this work. I like to use this idea of ancestral echoes to talk about these memories of the future. I love this concept, memories of the future, because it's a way to put things together, things that are together all the time, but it's a form of acknowledge that. Because the signs that are more aligned with what we know of oppression, abuse, absence, disembodiment, extinction, that are more aligned with this universal narrative we are used to, with these flags that are planted in our imaginary by colonialism, are the signs we recognize. But They are not the only signs of the future. And if we want to receive these echoes, we need to reforest our imagination. And that's what is in Portuguese, because I forgot to translate to English. And this is an invitation of a lot of indigenous leaders here in Brazil right now to reforest our imaginary. Because we need to reforest our land, but we need to reforest ourselves to do that. When I talk about ancestral futurism or memories of futurism, I am speaking about this process of perspection, but this process of retrospection too. This is a perspective from Black Quantum Futurism of Rashida Phillips. She's from Philadelphia, and I love her work. You will see her face ahead. But she promotes this experience, and this work here too promotes this experience of creating an event where people can experience retrospection, go to the past, and prospection, to go to the future, and how this process of going back and forward make us help modify past and becomes possible new possible futures. Because when you talk about African perspective of time, there's like a spin dance. There is no disconnection between future, present, and past. In ancestral time, there's no linearity like we learned in modern narrative. For an example, for African temporality, we have two names for represent time. We have Zaza, that is the small time, is the time of a life, like 80 years, 9 years. This is Zaza. And Zamani is the sacred time, is the bigger time, is the time of the planet, is the time of ancestrality. Zaza is Zamani is inside Zaza. Oh, no. Zaza is inside Zamani. Zamani is the bigger one. So all the energy that dissipates from Zaza becomes Zamani, becomes ancestrality. So for African time, there is no separation between the world of the living and the dead. When somebody dies, they go to Zaza, and his ashe, his living energy, is spread in his community. So he lives at the same time in Zaza and Zamani. So nothing disappears for this vision of the world. And I have here two authors that talk a lot about this, John Mbiti and Leda Maria Martins, that is a Brazilian thinker. I designed this idea, this representative idea, to make this connection between not only the small time and the bigger time, but between the big body, the body of the planet, and the small body, this body where I am incarnated. So, and what connect all these perspectives, the big perspective of body and time, and the small one from time and body, is the sacredness of life. And we cannot think about future without thinking about continuity of life, without thinking about the sacredness of our serving here, without thinking about the big body and the small time and the big time, because there is a relationship, there is a resonance between all of these fields. Okay, and when we look at this proposal, when I emerge, when I go deep in this idea, I feel that I am able to open doors in the past and in the future. And that's the invitation. That not just me, but a lot of radical thinkers, special Black thinkers, speaks about that. Rashida is one of this name. these names, and she says that Afrofuturistic concepts of science fiction, fantasy, myth, and speculation link the past and the future, delivering them to a now for us to create embodied of all this information now, new ways of be and feel and create what we are creating. Well, I am a hybrid person. I carry in my DNA maps of fight between European colonizers, especially Portuguese and Spanish. But I also carry the indigenous confluences. Confluence is a concept of a quilombola Black man here in Brazil called Nego Bispo. Nego Bispo is a very important person for me. He became ancestral this year, and I love to think that I'm carrying a little bit about his knowledge in my work. And he uses this word confluence to talk about this encounter of indigenous and Black people here in Brazil, and how this encounter make a cosmo alliance, because we see the land at the same way. So we became friends in this process to protect ourselves and to protect the land here. And so I also carry these indigenous confluences of people from the Amazon region and the Andes with Africans from the Maghreb and Senegambia. So my DNA is a map of all these things that are happening in the world right now. And carry this shows me that my life has been passed from bodies to bodies until it reached me right now. And this life will continue through me to the next generation. This is thinking in big and small time. And this can be an exercise that we do all the time when we create our projects and our stuffs. There is an African proverb very famous here in Brazil that says that Exu killed the bird yesterday, with a stone he threw today. And this is a classical example of prospection and retrospection. In Yoruba acknowledgement, in Yoruba process of see the world, there is a continuous presence of this way of intricate thinking between times. And if we are living an unbalance now, it's not just an unbalance and a disease that is ecological or economical. That is not just on this field. We are living an imbalance that is temporal, that is living in our body, that is cultural, and that is uprooting. And this imbalance was provoked by the greatest stroke to the history of the evolution of life in human presence. That is the expansion of European dominance through slavery and exploitation of racialized peoples and the earth. And this process, the colonization of the world, must be recognized in us all the time and must be looked, and we need to stay with this problem in futuristic fields, because if we don't do this, things will be the same. Ailton Krenak, that is an indigenous leader and a philosopher, that he's very, very important man here in Brazil. He says that if colonialism caused us almost irreparable damage, it was by claiming that we are all equal, and now we'll have to deny that. What Ailton was trying to say is that indigenous and Black people are not white people painted of other colors, is that we are different. We have different ways of thinking. We have different ways of acting in this world. And all these ways are needed to create a pluriversal world for all of us. So thinking about this thinking, I say that our future depends on our capacity of being able to distinguish our differences. And we need to open space in us to be with the presence of our differences. because there will be no common future without the contribution of all people. I work in this environmentalist field, and I reject environmentalism and futurism that ignore this world, that ignore this violence committed by colonialism. And that's what this work is all about. I told you in the beginning of the session about the images of the future I saw in my dream, this dystopian imagine. Now I'm going to show you the ones that come closest to what I dream. These images were made with some of them with AI by some photographers and thinkers. This is one image from Tiago Birito. He's a photographer here in Brazil, and he do a lot of experimentations with AI and rituals. And when I was trying to unite these images, a lot of them have water, the presence of water. And this was a little bit revelating for me, because when we talk about the point of no return, we talk about the losing of water in our planet. And I love this image of this left image of Tawana Sofia. This is a photo, actually, of Witoto. There is a leadership here in Brazil, indigenous leadership. So to walk to an end, Ancestral, for this philosophy and this methodology that I am creating for ancestral ecological futures, is necessary an ecology of knowledge that crosses time, guarding this continuity and diversity of life, to help us take shape in the world and reconnect us with futures of alliances between humans and non-humans. And this will not happen without getting rid of the colonial constitution of modernity. So a very important part of this work is about that. And there is a lot of provocation in this work about dream, about what we are dreaming and why we are dreaming these images, and what kind of dreams that we cannot have yet. So we need to dream the dream of meeting the others who teach us and change us without us losing ourselves, without reducing the other to a resource or a threat. The dream of the Zapatistas, the Ribeirinhos dream, the dream of the Quilombolas, the Yanomamis dreams, the dream of trees, the dream of those who want to be born, the dream of the land. And to do that, we need to move our imaginaries that are parked over a dead body at the end of the world. And like Malcolm Ferdinand say, the end of the world is not a period in history. It's a way to inhabit the earth like aliens of the world. So this work continues from here with the experience of consciousness and social imagination that unites the colonial ecology, ancestry, and futurism as practice of emancipation and liberation from colonial captivity, and this idea of the end of the world, a space of effective alliances. So it's about this, a very loving process. Why not? I like to think that I am part of a lineage of love thinkers like Bell Hooks, Paulo Freire, and a lot of others. And the most important work that we are doing right now as futurists is open doors, open new doors to other ways of inhabiting the earth. And before finish, I'd like to honor the presence of the ancestors of my land, and I would like you to celebrate and honor the presence of the ancestors of the land where you are and make an acknowledgement. So I ask you that we can celebrate these ancestors by offering our applause to them. And that's it. I don't know if you can bring questions or comments, or just tell me how you feel right now, what came, and how your body and your mind, what are the states in you. Open your mic. I spoke a lot about 1 hour. Nobody can open a mic and talk to me. Come on.
Sarah has her hand up.
I'll do it. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well,
Go.
I just wanted to say that I'm super inspired, that I love your perspective and the diverse you're offering. And it's like this urge to be connected, not like technologically, but as humans, and I think within ourselves is like most relevant input that I think keeps coming up. It's the lecture I'm giving because I'm vibrating with that message.
Thank you, Maria. Where are you from?
This is Laura from Mexico.
Okay, thank you. When you open your mic, please say your name and where are you coming from?
Sarah, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Honestly, I'm Sarah. I'm from Lebanon, and I have so many mixed, good, sad emotions, goosebumps. It's so nice to hear this perspective and to see the points of connection from a completely different, like from a completely different background, but see how much we have things in common, and how beautiful it is that this kind of thinking and this celebration and these thoughts are being propagated and brought to the forefront. So I'm
Hello. Oh, she was speaking so well. Sarah, you're there? No. Okay, let's see when she comes back. Thais.
Yeah, I wanted to know, how do you cope with your dreams?
Ask me this in Portuguese.
Como é que você lida com seus sonhos? E especialmente esses sonhos assim tão intensos e negativos às vezes.
Uh-huh. Sarah came back. Sarah, do you want to finish? And then I will answer Thais.
if you want to answer, I'm not sure where I got off. It's just, honestly, it's just been very beautiful and very energizing, as someone said, and just lovely. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for opening your mic. It's so important to hear you and to exchange and to know how this thing that starts here transforms and reach you. For me, it's very important. And so thank you, Sarah. Thais, how I cope with my dreams. I'm actually very open as a practice because, like I said, I think that for other visions of the world, dreams are a technology. So if I face it as a technology, I can dialogue with that. But this dream is in a special. I woke up and I ran to my computer and started to write because I didn't want to lose the aspects of what I saw. And one thing that I saw that I didn't mention it before is one part when I was in an elevator going down, because cities were down the earth, and the feeling where that I was feeling in this elevator was so livid in my flesh when I woke up. And I felt that was part of this work to tell this history. And so that's how I deal with these processes, trying to understand that they don't belong to me. They're our dreams, not just mine. And when we share, when we collectivize, yes, it is the right word, it's easier to deal with the pain of this planet. Yeah. Somebody else?
Lua, thank you so much for such a thought-provoking, inspiring session. I just would love to hear a little bit more about your story and how did you come to your journey to futures practice and how it all started.
Nice person, thank you. Nice question, thank you. Well, I started a career transition before I found possible future. And before that, during, I don't know, maybe 7 years, I tried to discover what I would do after my career in communication. I was a strategy director, and things were not good in a way that I didn't think that I was I don't know, serving life in some point, but I didn't have knowledge or experiences that was different from the ones that I had in this field. And I went to a journey that was called New Tribes in 2015 to study new economies, but was an experimental process. And then there I met a man that is called Satish Kumar. He's a pacifist, an Indian man. And hearing him, things started to change. I think that some people have this power that their presence changes the environment. And Satish is one of this person. This is my goal in life. I want to be there and make difference, and words are not needed. And in the presence of Satish, I decided to change my career for completely. And I started to researching regenerative narratives. I started with the book of Daniel Val, I don't know how this in English is, Design de Culturas Regenerativas, Narrative Regenerative Designing. I don't know, this is the name of the book in English, but I started from there, and I passed 2 years studying regenerative narratives, and then there's where a plot twist where I started to study racial theory, and this changed my life forever. And I connected these ideas from radical Black imagination with these ecologies knowledges that I studied before. And this combination, this confluence brought me here. I never thought that I would study these or be in this space to talk as a lecturer. No, this is This is not the goal. The goal is to understand. I am a researcher. I like to understand. I have curiosity, and I want to be in the field and interview people and be with vulnerable communities and understand how the system is impacting these communities. So this process of being near of people helped me, changed me, and shapes this work, Kelsey. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have another question, if you don't mind.
Hey, go ahead.
So many people talk about being a mother or being a grandmother as this shift moment where they started to look into the future in a different way and feel much more like responsibility and I don't know, like this urge to do something about it. It sounds like you you already had this figured out much, yeah, from different reasons. But I wanted to understand what motherhood did to your futures practice, if you don't mind sharing.
I have 4 kids. People need to know that. 4 kids, yeah. And what this changed? Violence, motherhood is oppression. And there's a lot of violence and with women. And I think that the rage that I carry in me comes a lot of how society sees maternity and how this obligates us to perform a maternity that is how can I say this in English, that make us disappears with our vital energy, because that's what maternity does to us today. Of course, there is all this beautiful way of dealing with these new human beings. I love my kids. It's not about that. But I think that we need to look, because we don't collectivize motherhood. So this makes a lot of, it's heavy. And I think that a lot of the anger that I carry with me comes from this. And I think that your question was more on the other side, that how can I see future? How can I be a good ancestor for my kids? And how can I plant other futures for them? I don't think in that way. I think we are creating with them. So that is not, I have a responsibility, but I think that uh, I can share with them this. I talk with them all the time about that. I have my oldest son, and he is 20 years old, and we talk about a lot about politics and violence and how he's dealing with the problems that we are living, and how he sometimes has no hope. And my work is all about hope, and I have a kid that he suffers with that. And I think what I want to be my legacy, I think it's hope, because this nobody can take of us, and for them and for society, and what my work is all about. Yeah. And I think, to finish, I don't know if somebody has another question, but I would like to say that, like Sarah said, it's this is a space that is open to all the emotions, because yes, it's beautiful and it's sad, and it's about honor, it's about responsibility, it's about to hold the problem, it's about to hold the space, it's about to be here and have eyes to see this complexity. So This is not about have all the answers, but to invite you to share your doubts, and I share my doubt, and to collectivize this process and let new things emerge. Yeah.
Last chance to ask questions in the chat or unmuting yourself. Yeah, Priscilla.
Hello. So
Hello.
I love her work and she knows that already, but I want to ask, Lua, how can we that are here help you with this vision that you have? And how can we bring it to more people? Because I share the same country with her, but we are in a different region. And I see people so disconnected from all this that we're talking here. So how can we help you to bring this discussion to more people?
Open spaces and open doors to me. This is enough. And I think if you want to share your way of transformation, I think that's two things. One, if you want to help me, open doors to me. That's what I say to everybody that makes this question. What I need, open doors to me, because a lot of spaces won't invite me because of political perspectives or because of they're afraid of what I say. But I think that a lot of people choose to invite me to open space for new questions. So if you want to help me, open doors and open space, and that's enough. But if you believe in that, you have your chance to spread your way of thinking my work, or to talk about the other authors that I mentioned. Malcolm is an incredible thinker, and he is younger than me, and I think he will be one of the biggest thinkers of our time. So spread his word, spread the words of Hashida, spread the words of these other thinkers, speaking with your words, because we need your words, Priscilla, too. And like I said, I carry in my DNA some knowledge, but you carry in yours others. And this is an invitation for us to exchange and live our different points of view. Yeah.
Beautiful. Final question, anyone? Comments? Otherwise, we're gonna, yeah, resonating with Lua. Yeah, Maria Laura saying, hope punk, all the love for this community. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think I can close and pass the word to you, Thais and April. I would like to thank for the invitation. It was very important for me. It was the first time that I translated this content to English. So I hope that was good, the first thing. And the second was a challenge for me to talk about all these things in other language that not mine, and was important. So thank you for your presence. Thank you, April and Thais. And I put on the chat you can find me at LinkedIn, of course. At Instagram, I put my Instagram and Futuro Possível too. And maybe we can translate this guide of navigation for English to share with other people. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Amazing. Thank you so much.